Good morning, everybody. Yum, yum, dia buckety. Let's get into our Friday. Simphiwe is very excited about Friday. I think she's got a big weekend lined up.
I honestly don't.
No? Oh, okay. I really
No.
thought you did. Okay, all right. Well, my mistake. Sorry.
Well, I can tell you this. So my friends and I have started a new thing, like movie Fridays. So every Friday we're gonna get together to watch movies. So I'm looking forward to that. Like that's one thing I'm
It's
looking forward to.
cool. It's like
Yes.
a new sort of activity. You see, I think people are like also trying to find things to do that are different to the usual stuff. Um, I had the most awesome month of April this year because I did every weekend in April. I did something completely different
Mhm.
to anything else I'd done in the year, and it was really cool. Like by the end of the month, you look back and oh, that was fun. That was fun. That was fun. It doesn't all sort of blend together as like, oh, I'll get together with my friends on a Friday. We'll just drink. Not that there's anything wrong. I see Snipes in the comments says it's Phuza Friday. So that's all Snipes wants to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. That's what South Africans like to do. We are binge drinkers. We're a country of binge drinkers. We must just accept it. It's like when you look in the mirror and you go, I think I might have a problem with alcohol.
Mm,
That is the first step towards healing, Simphiwe, right?
mm, mm. We mustn't even get there, like guys. Um, as someone who does partake in
Sure.
alcoholic beverages now and
Hey,
again, I'm just
don't
saying.
you did nothing. You did nothing to defend us yesterday during Dr. Mark's show when he basically said everybody who drinks increases their risk of colorectal cancer. Right? I was listening. I was listening
I
to that
was
show.
I was just as shocked. I was just taking that information in. I was like,
Mm-mm-mm,
"Excuse me?" And he was like,
mm-mm.
"Yeah, just one glass of wine, it just increases your chances."
No.
And I was like, "Excuse me, sir, your tone is not I'm not
Uh-uh.
liking this tone right now."
And even Dr. Mark tried to walk it back. He was like, "Oh well, I mean, doesn't mean I'm not gonna keep drinking." Like he stopped.
Yeah, he drinks so that he can be a nice person. That's the truth of the matter. So, I'd rather take Dr. Mark with a drink or
Well,
two than just straight on.
no, I think so. And so I've got a friend, and she decided for a month she was not going to drink either, and she got it right. She just needed to prove to herself that she could do without,
That's
and I'm
good.
proud of her. She did a whole month. She says she didn't miss it. She feels much better. So yeah, if you can, and if you're the kind of person who can exercise that level of self control, then you're in a good space, right? I mean, that's all it is.
Yes.
You're just proving to yourself that you can,
Mm.
which is
And I
which
like
is
people like that, you
me
know?
too. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I think that's very valuable. Okay, so today's Friday, and we do have this weekend where it feels like. But hang on, didn't we have a weekend? Just no, no, no. Remember, it was the Wednesday public holiday. I was trying to
Uh,
think because I thought, like, what did I do on Friday? And suddenly it felt to me like Friday last week was a long time ago.
it was just
And
a
then
week ago.
no, but I
About a
realized
week
like it
ago.
was because of that stupid Wednesday. I kept thinking that was a Friday. I was like, oh, it was just the other day. But no.
Yeah, that public holiday was useless. Like all I did was just be indoors and just rest, I guess. No.
Um, Sean says, I used to do a bottle of brandy a day. I had a real problem. Jesus, a bottle of
Where did you
brandy.
get the money? Do you know how expensive
Wow.
bourgeois is? It's
Mm,
it's like a
mhm,
bottle is just
mhm.
starting at like 300. So
Yeah,
every day.
yeah, yeah. Simon says my thing is only Saturday and Sunday. I drink during I drink and during the week, nah. So obviously, that's a good pattern, I think, because at least you have 5 out of 7 days where you're not hitting the bottle. And
Mhm.
if you go a bit large on a Friday or a Saturday or both, it's different, right? I
Yeah,
don't
but
get these people. I don't get these people who go out on a Sunday night. To me, that's always screwed my head up. Like, how
I
can you
don't
have fun?
understand those people, Gareth. But then
Mm.
there's people that do Mogodu Mondays. So it's
Woo,
basically turning up on a Monday. And I'm just
woo.
like, wait, 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 what's going on here? Like, what is this? Why are we partying on a Monday? Why are we going out and getting hammered with friends, gallivanting somewhere on a Monday?
No, that seems to me so crazily irresponsible because you just know those people are not going to be paying attention at work on Monday, first of all. And second of all, what's that Tuesday going to look like?
Oh,
Huh? No, it's
no,
unbelievable.
yeah, I thought Sunday was bad, and then I heard about Mogodu Mondays, and I was like, no, sir, don't count me in for that one.
Oh,
Um, yeah, I've also had friends that have gone out partying, and then the next day they woke up drunk, like they were still intoxicated. And
I don't know if that's not a good sign. That's usually bad. So listen, just yesterday we were talking with Pumi about how because the South African Water Department, the Department of Water and Sanitation, cannot guarantee that even half of our water is safe to drink. Okay, that's what they said in the report. Their report, remember. So this is the report they're actually sharing with us. There's probably stuff that they aren't sharing with us, so it's maybe even worse. I mean, I'm not trying to be a prophet of doom or a naysayer or any of that stuff. But if they're telling us that 51% of the water that they supply through the tap isn't really safe to drink,
Mm,
we were talking about how you now have to get a water filter, and Pumi was going, "No, I don't have any more money. I can't spend on a water filter." And I understand, but now I see this is even more. Ted says in the comments, everyone in Joburg needs an air purifier. Have you seen the pollution over Sandton in the mornings? So
oh,
if I drive into Sandton in the mornings, it's too early for me to
mhm,
see anything. I mean, maybe in summer I'll be able to tell, but usually we get to the studio like around 5:20, 5:30. So
mhm.
I can't see anything in the air. And I don't know if you have on the mornings where you don't come in super early, Simphiwe, but if that's true, if what Ted is saying is true, that we also now need to have air
Mm,
purifiers. Ay, ay, ay. I mean, now we've got
mm.
we've got electricity backup, we've got water purifiers, we've got air purifiers. Basically, anyone with even a little bit of money in this country is trying to separate themselves almost into a separate planet. It's like you need your own air, you need your own water, you need your own electricity. You may as well be a sovereign state, right?
Yeah. But I haven't noticed anything, like maybe because I don't pay attention when I'm driving. So that's
All
also
right.
part of the issue. I'm not paying attention. But now I will, and I'll actually check, like, is there a difference? Because I think also with winter, there's a lot of fog, there's
Mhm,
mist. You're just like,
mhm.
oh no, it's just part of the weather. Whereas if I am looking out for it and I'm like,
Yeah.
danger, this is where the danger is.
Well, Graham points something out. He says that think about the people who work in hospitality. Their weekend could be a Monday or a Tuesday, for example. And hairdressers take off Mondays, so they work Saturday,
Mhm.
but then they take off Sunday and Monday. So that's another example of a whole profession who do like for them. Sunday night is probably a good night to do something, right? Don't
Which
have to
I
go to work.
understand in
I
their
understand.
case, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
sure.
also like doctors that will like be on call and then like they have a Thursday and a Friday off. Like they schedule is very different. I'm just talking about the average Joe. Monday to Friday, you're at the office, and then Monday you are partying. That means Tuesday you're gonna get to the office and what you hanging. You are suffering from a
Mm,
hangover because you
yeah.
are partying. Like that
Mm-mm.
doesn't make sense to me. It
And
really doesn't.
and I've spoken about this before on the show, but there's something that happens after, mm, I'd say after 40. You still have lots of time, Simphiwe, but after 40, you just can't do two big nights in a row. It's just the hangover is too terrible for you to deal with. It feels like you've been fucked by a train,
That sounds
honestly.
horrible.
Trust
Sounds absolutely horrible. I'm not looking forward to
me, it
that.
is. No, it's horrible. So enjoy it while you can because the hangover it takes you a day to get over it, and then if you drink two nights in a row, oof, it's asking for trouble. Anyway, these are the big terrible problems that we have to sort out. Jim says, so basically, with Joburg being full of pollution as well, it's basically Middle Earth.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I was talking to somebody about property prices in Johannesburg, and of course, I had the mayor of Cape Town on yesterday, who said that in Cape Town the market is just booming, but apparently the number is almost 3 times the price for the same amount of space in Cape Town. So let's say you're in a
Oh.
good neighborhood and you have, for argument's sake, a place worth R1 million, which, it sounds like a hell of a lot of money, and it is, but you're not going to get that much for R1 million anymore in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
So let's say you get a little apartment in a pretty good area, R1 million. Okay. You've got a real bargain property there. You've got a good place. And let's say you need to move to Cape Town. Let's say you got a work opportunity, or you think the place is run better, or whatever. It's going to cost you, for the same amount of space in Cape Town, according to this property person that I know, 3 times the amount to buy the same size property. So that is an unbelievably scary idea for people who are moving from Joburg to Cape Town. Of course, there are not a lot of people moving the opposite way, but if you did, you're going to save some money.
Hey,
And
man.
then I had dinner last night with 2 friends. We do this regular thing where we get together and kind of have a catch up. And one of them lives in PE now. The other one is up here in Joburg too, but we don't see each other as much as we used to. These are people I've known for 15 plus years. Okay, so we're really old friends. And he is the one who lives in PE, says it is actually a really good place to live, because apparently, the meal we had last night was about 400 and something bucks each, which is expensive, but it was really good food. But 400 bucks each, that's doable. He said in PE it would cost you half of that.
What?
So,
a good, that's the meal and a drink at least.
yeah.
Half.
So, right, exactly. And we weren't drinking at all, but I mean, if you did, it would still. He said it's much cheaper to live there, and the people are genuinely friendly, which I've always said, even though I love tearing into PE, right? And it just sounds to me like you've got to make your choices, right? So if you want to live in a city, things are going to be more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to live in a little town or a rural area or whatever, things are going to be cheaper. You're going to have more space for less, et cetera, et cetera. So you got to think about these things. And while people are cost cutting, you've also got to consider the cost of transport, because if you're going to live further out of town because it's cheaper to live further out of town, or property's cheaper or whatever, you might just end up costing yourself the same amount of money just because the petrol to get in and out is going to be so expensive. So it's a real balancing act, and these are things people are thinking about.
Yes. One conversation I was having with a friend of mine is there's a lot of developments happening around our neighborhood. And the one thing we've noticed is that there's more houses being built, but there aren't any schools being built, hospitals being built, or clinics. So we're having more people in a very, the same area. And we just this is a disaster, because more people just means more people in the system of the
more
school.
pressure.
Yes, and hospitals, and there's a lot that's already happened in Boksburg. I mean, there's been explosions and
Oh my
stuff. So we don't need more people in the system. We really, really don't. And I think that's also the other side of the coin, is that with more houses being built, more resources are needed. And are we really taking care of the resources that we have now? I mean, the water's not safe. Hey.
Yeah. When are we going to interview Rena? How much does she want? She'll never get on the show. She just won't do it. I mean, Simphiwe, it's not going to happen. Yonda says, I can do any day of drinking, and plus I don't get any hangovers, and I'm almost 40. Perfect balance is sleep for 5 hours. Well, Yonda,
Are you having one drink? What's your secret, Wanda?
Right. Yeah, he's leaving some stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
He's not telling us the whole story.
Yeah.
Okay, but for the same amount of space in the West Rand versus Sandton, it's also 3 times the difference. That's also true.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to save money, says Slippery Pickle, stay in Hillbrow. You probably don't even have to pay rates and levies. Yeah, but you take your life in your hands every 5 minutes.
You're gonna be
No.
fighting criminals every day. Eh? You're
Mm.
going to just be always looking around. You're not gonna trust anyone. I think the one thing about like the fact that now I have my own car is that I don't need to go via Joburg CBD. That place is very
Mm.
different. It's very, very
Mm.
different. You always have to be on the lookout. You can't trust
Yeah.
anyone. And the worst thing is that you could see someone get robbed and you can't even help because sometimes that's the scam. That is the scam. They act like someone's getting robbed just for you to get robbed. And
Yes.
you constantly like panic mode. No, don't do that to yourself.
Look, last night I have to share a funny story. So I parked. I didn't know, but I was parking in a place across the road in the open where I thought I was allowed to park. So after
Mhm.
supper, I get out to my car and I see there's a Metro police car like right there. I go, oh no, I've really fucked up now. So I get to the car and this Metro police officer's like, hey, you can't park here. And I suddenly thought of your video with you can't park here,
You can't park the car there.
right?
Why you park the car there?
I'm like, oh no. So I was sitting right there in that restaurant. I promise you, this is in Santon. So he's like, you can't park here. It's not safe to park here for starters. Said, second of all, you can see this line is painted here. You're not allowed to park here. So I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry. Anyway, the guy was so friendly and so nice and so like not in, not shitty about it.
Mhm.
He's actually really cool about it. And I said to him, all right, so what am I going to get a ticket? Or he said, no, look, I'm going to give you a warning on this one, but don't be stupid. Don't park here again. I was like, thank you so much. And then I drove away with such a big smile on my face. I was like, you know what? There are still good people. There are still good things. Not everything ends in tears and shittiness. I probably should have been fined, but I didn't get fined. He didn't
Yes.
have, he wasn't angling for a bribe. He was friendly. He was, straight up, honest, decent. Like, what a good guy. I was like, shit, this is good. I'm lucky. I got away with this one. But also, like, I felt like this guy was just a really good dude who's trying to do his job. And he wasn't after anything. He wasn't trying to like nail me and send me off to like the police station at bloody 10 o'clock at night or anything. So I was very relieved.
I love moments like that. I
You feel,
truly do.
yeah.
Because it's like, you're doing your job, and I'm at this moment, I'm not even going to try and fight with you. Like, if you decide to give me a ticket, I fully understand. If you don't, thank you so much.
Mhm.
And it's just like those moments where you're like, oh, bruv, shout out to you. Do your job. I'm not even complaining now. And then you get the others where you're just like, nah, chief, let's talk. Mm-mm.
So how do you like Sam's calculation here? Speedy Sam says, I don't drink 6 months of the year by drinking every second day. That's, a, that's an incredible calculation because when you put it that way, it sounds so impressive, right? It's like, well, for
Mhm.
6 months of the year, I don't drink. But what they're not telling you is it's every second day.
And for the remainder of the 6 months, they are drinking every day.
Yeah, so Slippery Pickle says when dealing with the cops, tell them you're so intelligent, I'm unintelligent, you're attractive, I'm unattractive, etc. That's what they want to hear. I didn't have to. It wasn't like I schmoozed this guy or I was being extra charming or nice to him. It wasn't like he recognized me and said, "Ah, you're that guy from the TV" or any of that stuff. He was just a good dude. Like honestly, he said to me, "When I saw your car parked here, I thought maybe you'd run out of petrol or something. You shouldn't have parked here. It's not safe to park here, etc., etc." So he didn't come at it from like the point of view that I needed to be super nice to him or any of that. I mean,
Mhm.
I was polite. And even I'm very proud, even on that night that they arrested me for speeding and it was all on camera, I was polite and decent to the police, traffic police. You should be. You should treat everybody nicely until they start treating you badly, in which case you can also start thinking about your options. But it doesn't
Yes.
help. It doesn't help to approach anybody with a shitty attitude right at the start.
Yeah. Always be nice. always be nice,
Costs you
and
nothing.
just be more patient. Like, I think
Oh,
sometimes because we in a rush to get to our destination, and then you get pulled over and then whatnot, you just want them to, and it's
well,
you forgetting that they doing their job, and you want
correct.
them to do a good job. So be patient with them, smile. If you did something
Totally.
wrong, I don't know if you should admit, but the truth of the
Mm.
matter is you did something wrong. And if you're willing to negotiate, wait your way out of a ticket, that's great. I'm not opposed to that. But at the end of the day, they're just doing their jobs. That's what I've come to understand. Just as much as we're here every morning doing our job, they're out doing theirs. And part of it is giving out fines.
Well, you know what also is impressive to me is that in almost any situation, if you treat people nicely, they will treat you nicely. Just off the bat, you don't it's not complicated. It doesn't cost anything. It's not like you need to go for classes to learn how to do this. It's like just be polite, be friendly, be kind, and everything improves. Everything.
Mhm. Yes.
People are just, there's a smile instead of a frown, this aggression. And believe me, I used to get like serious road rage. So if people drove stupidly, and I still get cross occasionally, I'm not going to pretend I'm superhuman. But the minute I stopped being angry about things, first of all, my mood was better. I got to work, I didn't feel
Hmm. Well, Gareth was in the middle of a sentence over there, but I totally get what he was saying. I've had like one or two cases where I've the first thing when I get stopped over is always say, "Hi, how are you?" And then they'll be like, "Okay," and then we can talk. That's the trick of it all. Because until you ask them how are they, they're just gonna go straight in, and then you're just like, "Damn, I don't like this very much." You are on mute, Gareth.
just be nice. Ted says, common courtesy goes a long way. Look people in the eye, address them as sir, madam, officer, etc. And even in a situation where it's not an authority thing, like it's
Mm,
not a policeman or someone who has the ability to like make your life difficult. Even if it's just someone, the guys at the traffic lights, those guys who come and try and wash your window. And I find them very irritating because some of them are obviously like high or like
mhm.
zoned out or like just that these people they're not having a great time. No one would be at the traffic lights on a cold winter's morning with like dirty water and a squeegee thing if
Mm,
they had a better option. So I often get to the traffic lights, but you look the guy in the eye, you're like, no, thank you. You can like wave and say hi, but then you're like, no, please, no, don't worry about the
mhm,
windscreen. Obviously, some of them are going to go and do it anyway, but you can decide how you react to that. You don't get to decide for them how stupid they're going to be or how irritating they're going to be, but you can decide how you'll react to it. So again, on a good day, on a day where I'm thinking clearly and I've got things to do and I'm excited about life. And look, that's most days. Then I
mhm.
will respond properly to people and I will have good interactions with people. On a bad day where I've got a shitty attitude and where I'm rude and mean, and that happens. We all do that, right? We all have those days where we're like, just F off.
Yeah.
And
Mm,
then guess what? Then you're gonna have that kind of a day.
yeah. I think one of the funniest things I've seen is because of load shedding, usually there's a bit of traffic by the robots, right? And
Mhm.
so this one guy from the street decided, you know what, I'm going to be a good Samaritan and I'm going to direct traffic. But there he is, like, and he doesn't know, like, should he tell people to come? And then he's like, wait.
Oh
And then
no.
he was so confused. You could tell that he's never done this. Like, this is his first hour on the job. He's just so confused. He's not sure
Yeah.
if people should be coming or going. And then he's trying to stop the one, and then the other cars. It was the funniest thing ever. And then I was also like, shout out to him because I know I wouldn't do that. I would not
Hell
be
no.
that good
I wouldn't know what
Samaritan.
to do. I'd be so terrified of directing traffic badly and causing an accident. And then I'd just run. I wouldn't know what to do. So at least these guys, I mean, it's a hell of a chutzpah, It's like you've got some balls to be directing traffic when you've probably never even been in a car. Um,
Hmm.
Bronwyn says this is an interesting thing about August. August is a shitty month, but this August we have a blue moon twice, two full moons in one month. That is once in a
Ooh.
blue moon. So that's exciting. And by the way, at the beginning of the month, the moon was huge. It was last week?
Yes.
No, when was last week, I think. And this huge, big, glowing yellow moon in the sky, which was beautiful from almost anywhere. I drove in the one morning to do the show, and
Mm.
I just looked onto because obviously it starts off in the east when nightfall happens, and ends up on the west in the mornings. So you have these incredible idea, especially at the beginning of the night and the end of the night, you have these beautiful vistas of the moon, and it's just spectacular. So if they're going to be two full moons in one month, maybe that's lucky. Maybe this will
Oh,
be the August that changes our mind about August.
oh, yes. It's moments like that when the moon is so beautiful that I wish I had an Android. Because if there's one thing I can give Android phones is that they're able to capture the moon stunningly. Like that's one thing I will have to give
Yeah,
Android phones. Like I will give you that. But other than that, no, don't give me that thing. I don't
that's
want
the
that thing near me. Like no.
all right. So apparently, there's one of your studies that you got to tell us about, and this one has to do with free meals and
Yes.
relationships. All right, so let's
So
hear it. Anyway, I want to hear this. This
in
sounds like
2023,
go on.
Gareth, I don't know if you are shocked at this, but women actually prefer free meals over relationships. I don't know if this is
Ah,
new to you guys. I don't, but this is fascinating. So, according to a new study, many women are choosing free meals over relationships. The study is in the Journal of Social, Psychological, and Personality Science, and says one up to three women have engaged in a foodie call. And if you're wondering what a foodie call is, it's basically when a woman agrees to go out on a date with you, clearly based on the fact that she's going to get a free meal. Doesn't mean she likes you. It doesn't mean she's attracted to you. She just agreed to go on that date because she's going to get a free meal. So I'm left here and I'm like, you know what, guys out there, maybe that egg emoji is just that. She really wants to eat an egg emoji because
look,
really cool.
I think that's just sad. I mean, I was talking to someone the other day about it. Like, I would never, I'd never pay a prostitute for sex. It doesn't make me special. I know there are lots of people who would. I don't think
Mhm.
I'm morally superior or anything, but I would never just say to a woman like, "Okay, how much to like just have sex?" Right? I've never done that. I never will. It's not something I'm interested in. But if I think about over the years how much money I've spent on dinners and drinks and gifts and all that stuff, I've probably paid way more than guys who do, just pay for sex. So in the end, I think about it and I don't regret any of it because I've had really good times, whether it's being out at a restaurant, meeting someone for the first time, which is always exciting, whether it's going for that first drink, whatever it might be.
Mhm.
So I'm not, there's no regret. But if I think about the amount of money, I'm always like, wow, that's a fortune. So you're telling me that on the other side of this, they now do surveys. I don't know whether this is true for, before 2023, but in 2023, there are a lot of women who will just go out with a dude who they have no interest in order
Mhm.
to get a free meal. That's it.
Yeah,
They just
bro.
after the food.
Yes, a foodie call. Like I like the fact that that's what they've termed it, a foodie call. You know how you get a booty call? Now you have a foodie call. Like I
Okay,
need
well,
food. I want to try a new restaurant. Let me just hit Gareth up and be like, sure, we can go out on a date Thursday night. Let's go to this restaurant. And
no.
dun, 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 dun.
But you lead
There
me
we
along.
go.
You're like, oh, let's go for a date, and I'm thinking, oh, yay, I'm going to meet this lovely girl. It's going to be fun. You bitch. You're just after some food. So okay, there's a way to circumvent this problem. Is I
Mhm.
reckon maybe the first date, it's you have to pay 50-50.
Oh no. Why are
Right.
we going 50? No. Why are we
Because
doing
because
that?
because you've just given me the intel. You've
No,
just
but
told you just told me that there are a bunch of women who will pretend that they're on a date in order to get a free meal. I reckon all first dates have to be 50-50.
not all women are like that, Gareth.
Oh,
Okay, like
this is how you're gonna find out. Since you know what, there's a price to pay. Everything has a price, and now what? Because of this study, any single guy out there who pays for the first date in total is an idiot.
no,
Sorry, No, it's
I,
been you've ruined it for
I
all girls.
disagree.
Yeah. You've
I
ruined
just no, I was just sharing. I was sharing because I like to share, but I'm definitely one who still believes in it. Oh, here's the rule: whoever asks the person out should be the one that pays. I do believe in that. So if you're the one who's like, "Hi, Simphiwe, can I take you out for dinner, lunch?" I definitely expect you to pay.
Sure.
And you'll
Um,
see if I like you if we go on a second date. Then you can, you know,
mm-mm. No, first
see.
date now. Because of that first date, half and half. No way I'm gonna pay the whole thing. I'm not paying for a full date, first date. If you've just told me this fact, now I think I'm gonna be super suspicious. As a single guy, I'm gonna be like, all right, fine. I can tell
Yeah.
what these bitches are after.
If she's hot, you'll pay the full amount. Stop trying to be someone. Come on, Gareth. After all
Then,
the years in this show, let's
then,
cut to the chase here.
then you didn't hear the start of this. Simphiwe is just
No,
revealed. No,
I kind of picked up 2 minutes into this. I don't want to. I don't want to interrupt your guys' flow.
what kind of a trashy woman is going to go on a date with you just to get the free meal?
Who says that's trashy? You enjoyed my company, didn't you? I enjoyed the free meal. It works
Gareth,
out.
It's a supply demand commodities market we're working in here. Don't think because your private parts are involved, anything changes. It's free trade.
God damn it. A little bit of Ben's logic in the morning. Surely dislodge was good ideas.
Sorry. No, but it is a tough one because there's so much happened in this sort of etiquette of dating of the last 15 years.
Mhm.
And for so long, it was kind of the same thing. And there's all these different variables. But ultimately, I speak on behalf of all guys. If she's hot, you're paying.
Hey, listen,
And you would have not agreed to the date if she wasn't hot.
Look, I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying that's what guys will do because the hot girl knows this, and there'll be that moment.
Yeah.
Hold back a bit.
I
And
just
there's
can't
like this.
I just can't believe she'd do it for a free meal. It just feels that just feels nasty to me.
And when girls just want free drinks,
Same thing.
yeah, same thing.
Happens. I somehow feel like a meal on a date is different to like a free drink in a bar or a club or whatever.
Why?
Because it's like you're sitting down with each other. There should be a genuine interest, or at least an honest approach to the situation. Like, if it's a lunch meeting over business, that's different to a date. If it's a date, you assume there's a little bit of interest on her side. Sure, you're just checking each other out.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's there is a bit of interest. She's interested in your wallet, and she will entertain you for that 2 hours or 3 hours. She'll make sure the conversation is going and flowing. The only issue is that you might not see her for a second date, and that's the gamble of dating, right? Is you go on dates,
She knows
and
that.
you'll see.
She knows that right from the beginning because she's just angling for a free meal. All I'm saying is dating has become harder than ever. And I don't think you two are going to disagree with me on this. Most people cannot actually handle a conversation. They're fine on their phones. People are so used to these apps where they're swiping left and right. They don't know how to talk to each other. They don't even know how to charm each other, how to court each other, how to actually play that game that's the most exciting part of getting to know someone. So everything is just it's so crass these days. I'm gonna go with him for a free meal. I'm gonna skip straight to the straight to sex, or I'm not going to make any effort with this conversation because I've decided I don't like the way he looks or some shit like that. It just feels to me like we've cheapened this. And don't pretend that you two aren't aware of what I'm saying here. Dating's hard.
I'm totally aware of what you're saying, but I also think, as I'm not a dating person, I've dated in my life. I'm in a very happy relationship space, so I can be very cavalier with my opinions here. But I don't think it's that different from a long time ago when women used to basically dress like men with shoulder pads and shit like that. They still had the same modus operandi here. And I just think we're so much more open about stuff because we share so much and we share and we're so brazen with how we do things in life. Whereas in the past, we had that sort of element of, I don't know, restraint. We don't. We tell everyone about everything nowadays. I think it's very similar. And I think people just like really fixate over topics in the past. Well, sorry, now as than they did in the past.
It's also become very fashionable for people to just lay out the worst aspects of their personality. You know, they very proudly go out there and say, "Oh well, you know, I've got bipolar disorder, or I'm extremely depressed" on the first date. And I think, well, save some of that for a bit later before you put people off.
But Gareth, I think every date has the same anatomy, guys or girls, right? You go into it with a game plan. Again, and I can say this because I'm not dating, so I'm gonna, reveal secrets. Well, also reveal insights that I've heard over many, many years. It's that you go into a date with a certain opinion, right? Let's be honest. And Gareth, you can just nod if you agree with me on this.
I do.
As a guy, Simphiwe, you can give me the girl equivalent here. As a guy, you've already seen what this girl kind of looks like, right? You've already had some sort of kind of interaction around this. I think you kind of know if it's a sex or a girlfriend date.
I agree with that.
I think in your heart of hearts, you know, and then if you get pleasantly surprised and to think that it might be a girlfriend date, but ultimately it's a sex date, and you're always thinking along those lines. It's like if you start a company to provide shopping trolleys, you don't go into it thinking, that battleship I'm going to create after this with these same components is going to be so impressive. Like, it's not. You're making a single-use item here.
Yes. So what I always say is women are the custodians of sex and men are the custodians of commitment. Like a guy can wake up
next level, wow.
A guy can wake up tomorrow and say, I want to get married, and best believe he'll get married to someone. As a woman, you don't have that luxury because you need to be picked. But when it comes to sex, women actually dictate who they sleep with.
That's
so
true.
I think that's the truth of the matter, is that even in dating, it's kind of like figuring out, as Ben said, you as the guy, you already have girlfriend or just sex. And in her mind, she's like, do I take this guy seriously or is he just a once off? That's it.
I think that's sensible. That makes sense to me.
I think, the whole thing about the sixth sense and perception and all those kind of things. There's a lot more going on in our heads. And we had this, remember those bad 80s movies where like you were a cyborg or Robocop, whatever, and you'd have like this bad Google Glass thing and it'd be like analyzing and there'd be like numbers going around. That's in our brains. It's happening.
Yes.
It's happening. You look at someone and I don't know if that person looks like a mother in the future to you, looks like someone who knows what they're doing, after dark. Your mind plays these things out. And don't think that I've given away too much.
Are you done?
Yeah, listen, these are perennial topics of discussion because human beings our human nature doesn't change, but we keep thinking that we're evolving on this front. And actually it takes thousands of years for us to change our behavior. But I think Simphiwe is right. Simphiwe is right about the fact that men control like the gates of commitment in terms of long term. Like if a man wants to get married, he will get married. He might get married to a different girl than the one he's with at the moment. But if a guy's decided in his life, it's time for me to get married, that'll happen. And I do think that women ultimately, in a sane and decent society, women get to decide who they're going to have sex with.
And they do so through a series of events that they dictate, one of them being a free dinner.
Right. And we're back to the free dinner. All right. I just find it all crap. But you're right. You guys have argued me out of this. I lose. And that doesn't happen often. All right. Damn it.
It's crap because you're not in this game. You don't have a ticket in this game and you care about this kind of shit.
All right. So listen, two things. Ben, I met somebody the other day at the gym who said that he, again, people are just so impressed because they're all following you on Instagram and seeing how like you've got so fit and you're in the best shape of your life, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, it's all it really is impressive. But I saw someone at the gym the other day played golf with you once. He's like a pro. And he said,
really tall guy.
Yeah.
James.
Yeah. He said, Ben's looking terrific. And then I saw a mutual friend of ours last night and I said, how's it going? He's like, oh, well, I've had a bit of a shitty year health-wise. I had a shoulder up, blah, blah, blah. I'm not in Ben's category, but so it's like people all over the place are using you as the example now of.
That's good.
But you can be. You can be. Yeah, that's the thing.
How's it going with those people that you're training? I put that in inverted commas because you're not.
Yeah, it's super cool. I've got my 12 disciples, 13 essentially.
Oh,
actually.
Look at you be Jesus and stuff.
I know. Look. Strength Jesus. Yeah, I'll take it. It's going pretty well, Gareth. I think there's you can kind of categorize the guys into certain needs and problems, and it's just so great to understand how difficult most people's lives are. Because mine's easy. I mean, I kind of control it, and it's quite simple. But a lot of people, I understand why they're not in good shape, and it's about trying to understand like how the fundamentals that I care so much about can be implemented into their lives. And I still think it's totally doable.
What I think is so amazing about this, having known you for a long time and seen that you've been able to make your life more efficient and happier and easier and all that stuff, and you really have. I mean, by no means is anyone's life perfect, but you've got a lot of stuff under control. What's so great about this is that now you're helping other people to do it. And the minute there are 4 circles, right? There's the circle of what you can do and what you're good at. Then there's the circle of what can earn you money. Yeah. Then there's the circle of what you love. And if those 3 overlap, you're already in like the best possible space. But there's a 4th one, and that is how can this make the world a better place? And that means involving other people, helping other people. The minute you do that one as well, it just gets exponentially better.
Absolutely. And at the risk of sounding like a right-wing extremist, I think better men make better societies. And if you have better mood,
statement. Just say that again. That's so right-wing. Say that again.
No, it is. It's incredibly right-wing. Like, better men make better societies. Does Simphiwe want to go on a date with some guy whose testosterone is so low, he's an emotional wreck, and won't be any sort of forthright person? Not lead her into any great conversations, not be exciting.
No.
Or do you want to go out on a date with someone who takes pride in their presentation? They've got a good, steady mood. Testosterone levels allow them to be very confident, yet also sort of gentleman-like. All of these things, right? You kind of strive for that. And all these simpy people are making the world shitty for everyone. It's not just me saying that because I'm trying to be all, look at me. Shitty guys make this world pretty shitty.
Yeah.
It's a toilet effect that it all just goes down the slope, right?
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of that comes down to just guys just hating shit and just being average.
Stop being average.
Yeah.
Stop being average.
It's a very simple philosophy, guys.
Well, except Courtney says, Ben, you're talking nonsense. So obviously not everyone agrees.
Okay, Courtney, while you're still here, why don't you type away what sort of guy you like? Are you looking for someone who's going to be indecisive, all simpy, kind of just like watch the same shit that you want to watch because he's in touch with your emotions and meanwhile he's just lying? Come on.
Yeah, I've never met a woman.
I will say this.
Have a run, Courtney. I'm all ears.
Wait, I will say this. I think the reality is that the women date guys that can be like a bit simpy around them, right? Not too much, but when women
want to control guys are a bit simpy, but they don't want to date them.
Listen. If I was dating you, Ben, if you and I are chilling and it's movie night and we're watching like a movie and you shed a tear there and there, that's fine, right? That's the moment that you and I share.
That's not simpy. What we're talking about is like these weak beta male guys who just
but I'm saying like in interactions between you and I, you can let your guard down just a bit. Whereas in society, I still want you to be that alpha male who's strong and, you can take on the world and you're not really shaken by anything. And then in the house, it's okay for you to break down. And I think that's where men are not getting it, is that I don't want you to just break down everywhere and everywhere. That's not, I don't want that.
No, because that's like a bad car. Another thing that women don't want.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, a little update here. Courtney is independent.
Can you pay my bills? Can you pay my telephone bills?
I'm independent. I'm not looking for a man. Cool, Courtney. That's also great. But don't tell me I'm talking shit because you're actually out of this game. That's like saying, I'm not watching this match this weekend, but don't you dare tell me who wins or loses. Yeah.
Plus, I mean, let me just ask this, and I'm by no means am I going at Courtney on this, but who's sitting there going, oh, that Courtney, she's so independent. Nobody, not her friends, not her ex-boyfriends, not guys who might be interested in her. No one's sitting there going, oh, she's so independent. That's such a plus. That's what Hollywood sells people, like that everyone's going to be celebrating an independent woman. No one cares. No one's interested. They're interested in themselves, and they're interested in how they can relate to you. And if your line is, Courtney, and I'm not saying it's the only thing about you, but if your line is, I'm independent, well then, be prepared to be ignored, because that's what that means. That means you're not putting anything in or getting anything out. You're independent. And listen, I like independence. I think it's good, but it's not attractive.
Yeah. At the end of the
mean,
day, men still want to be needed or wanted.
I also don't think it's too healthy, but that's another conversation for another day.
All right. Let's move on to this quickly, because we do have some sport to get to this morning. We'll do that in just a second or two. Listen,
if you're
this
a
is really
footballist, what a weekend.
It's starting. Yeah, all the boys are going to be watching matches.
We've gone from not having sports on the show at all for the last couple of years. We kind of talk about it when it was in the news, but it's become such a thing now. Ryan is so into this that he's tweeting all weekend about sport he's watching because he's betting on it, and Simphiwe is winning left, right, and center. So let's see what's happening beyond the scoreboard with Ben Karpinski. It's powered by Superbets, and let's check out some of the things that are happening this weekend. And at the same time, I will be placing some bets. So go ahead, Ben. What do we got to look at?
Well, Gareth, I had a weekend a week away, and I was looking so excited about the rugby, of course, the big squad announcement for the Springboks where they were forced into taking a stupid knee for a hat that barely fits. I mean, that was a bit cringe. And I was thinking, this is not great. Ooh. But then I realized it's actually football weekend. And that's where we get excited about, right? Because the Premier League is back. Yes, I know the Women's World Cup's currently on, but that's a certain amount of the fanfare. The Premier League is like what people base their lives upon. You can go into any office and you will find that. So, who's going to win? Well, Man City is vying for a 4th title in a row, okay? It's never been done before. Ever. 3 teams, I think Arsenal being one of them, have tried it, but they've always fallen. So, Man City, I think everyone knows they're like the Red Bull of football. They've got Pep Guardiola, they've got lots of money, they're very successful. Last year, they won the treble. Now, if you win the treble, like that's the Champions League, FA Cup, the league. I mean, they pretty much won everything. The treble is this big thing they kind of have. So will they be able to maintain it? Well, of course, there are odds-on favorites to be the champions again. Arsenal are pretty much coming in second odds-on favorites to win this thing. And then it's Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea, Newcastle, Tottenham. Those are your sort of big teams in the mix here. But you've always got to look at it's so difficult to maintain the highest of the high. Now, the treble's a big deal. Pep Guardiola, he flies high, but it's so hard to maintain that intensity. And I think that's what makes these guys so incredible that they can do this, because you've got to be great for a long period. We saw last year, Arsenal were great for a longish period, but they did not win, much to my disgust and unhappiness. So that all starts this weekend, okay? So there's big games there. Burnley will be the first people to feel the wrath of Man City. That'll be tonight, actually, at 9 p.m. They'll be tonight. Arsenal will take on Tottenham Forest. Not Tottenham Forest. Nottingham Forest. Tottenham Forest always sounds like the right thing, though.
Yeah, it should be. Just hang on. When you talk about Burnley Man U, I'm just looking at it now because odds are
Burnley Man City.
Yeah, sorry, Burnley Man City. So Burnley, you got 7.4 odds, which is nice odds, but that's because they're not going to win. If you bet on Manchester City, 0.34.
Yeah, so they're 7.4 because they're going to take a trials ring, I would imagine. They are playing at home, but yeah, I mean, look, Man City's great. It's like a Lamborghini taking on a Hyundai i10 on a drag race. Yeah. So I think we'll get to some sort of betting things to consider in a second, but just to go back to these sort of big fixtures for the weekend. Okay, so Man City tonight, Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest tomorrow at 1:30, and of course it just runs now. Okay, so if you have a boyfriend who has shown interest in football and it's a new relationship, this is where it gets the test, because now every weekend basically he's going to be in this, and these guys, they play fantasy, they do the betting, they have office pools, all that kind of stuff. Newcastle was a team that showed great promise last year. Of course, they've got some big Saudi money that came into the mix, so they were like kind of nowhere with weird accents and bad tattoos to kind of now being weird accents, bad tattoos, but a little class, because they got a little cash in the mix. So that's tomorrow at 6:30. Chelsea versus Liverpool, as you know. The big Russian crisis meant that Abramovich had to basically give Chelsea away because it was a frozen asset. That team has just been going up and down, but more down in the last sort of 3-4 years, in and out of managers. It's been a mess, but they're still, it's a traditional marquee team. They'll take on Liverpool, who has also had their wobbles last few years. That'll be Sunday, 5:30. And then Monday will be the last round of this. Man United take on the Wolves. not actual wolves because they'd probably get killed, but a team called the Wolves.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that'll be 9 o'clock on Monday. So obviously, there's more games. Pick out your favorites there. But if you are looking to when you do bet on football, everybody goes for the win and the loss.
Mm-hmm.
Keep this in mind for the rest of the season. Look for the sneaky draws because you actually get pretty good odds. And a lot of these teams, again, you got to consider kind of things like how defensive these teams are, how like for like are they in attack, because sometimes they cancel themselves out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are looking for betting,
I mean, so for example, Ben, I see that Bournemouth are playing West Ham, right? As mentioned, the odds are more or less the same either way, but the draw odds are 2.4 as opposed to being 1. So this is exactly where you're right. I mean, you don't have to be the biggest football fan in the world, but you can win on a sneaky draw, like you put it.
A couple of sneaky draws here and there, always a good thing. Speaking of sneaky draws, when you're betting on the Women's World Cup or World Cups in general, here's another little hot tip here is, or maybe not the women, because they somehow always go for results. There's very few there was the big America-Sweden penalty shootout. Okay, so now when you go into the betting for the football, it's after 90 minutes. It's another thing to consider. So even if a team wins in penalties and that's your team, the game itself was a draw. So when it gets really tight in the knockouts, again, the sneaky draw is not a bad option. So just looking at the quarterfinals there, Spain have beaten the Netherlands 2-1. I was a bit surprised by that, but still good on the Spanish girls, because now they go through to the semis. Who will they play in the semis? Well, that's going to be the whole mix of today and tomorrow. Japan take on Sweden. Now, Japan have been very, very gevaarlijk, I think, through the whole tournament. And so have Sweden. Sweden beat the Americans, who to a certain point seemed invincible. That'll be today, 9:30 South African time in the morning. Tomorrow, Australia versus France, and then England, Colombia. So Australia, France, 9 a.m., 12:30 in early afternoon, England, Colombia. And that'll be your mix of the women's football coming to that crescendo next week. Huh? How exciting. Otherwise, okay, sure, we got Premier League, got women's football. You've also got quite a lot of golf. If you like the women's golf, they're playing the Open Championship. So Ashley Buhai, who is our South African defending champ, she didn't go too great in round 1, unfortunately. She's down in 81st after a score of +2. The leaders are -4, but thing is, links golf, Open Championship golf, it's open playing field because the weather's going to play a whole thing. One game to have with your friends, I guess, is try to pronounce the top 10 at any stage on the women's leaderboard. It's difficult because women's golf has a wide variety of nationalities. Okay, there's a lot of Asians in the mix there. I mean, take for example, Boon Chant over here. Jerovi Boon Chant. That's not a name you often conjure with, huh? Well, there she is, the Thai golfer. She's Jerovi Boon Chant. She's in the mix. She had a decent opening round. She's -3, and she will be there. She'll be there for the weekend. That's pretty much it for this week's sports. There's, of course, the FedEx St. Jude Classic, because the FedEx Cup is happening on the PGA Tour, which is basically all the big tournaments that come down to the end when they get showered with so much of the money. Jordan Spieth's in the lead there. Other than that, Justin Thomas is coming to the Nedbank Challenge. That's a really big deal. Huge name. Ex-world #1. Really great guy. Probably my favorite golfer. So he'll be at the Nedbank Challenge. Otherwise, rugby, of course. There'll be warm-up matches with the Springboks and all kind of other teams coming up very shortly.
Very good. There's lots for you to get into this week. Go to Beyond the Scoreboard on cliffcentral.com. You get a 50 Rand free bet when you sign up with Super Bets. And it's very, very easy to put money in. It's also easy to win. You can go and try it. Super Bets, of course, supports responsible gambling. Strictly no under 18s. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling hotline is 0800 006 008. There we go. Some nice sport for you to look forward to. All right. We got plenty more to get to. So, Ben, you said you were away last week. You were in Cape Town, right?
Yeah, I was in Cape Town this week. I went down for another interview. Was with Erin Christie, who's the co-captain of the women's field hockey team. Learning about her life. Next episode for the Rugby One Quid crew, which comes to a thrilling conclusion with this episode. And yeah, it was just cool kind of being in Cape Town. I know the taxi strike wasn't great, but Cape Town in the last few years, it's just become so overrun with so many people. And it was like kind of almost quietish. the fact that obviously unrest was ruining the economy. But I was chatting to a friend of mine yesterday. He had like a little sabbatical. He went to go live in Bali for a few months with his girlfriend, and then he came back, and there's no apartments basically because Joburg has taken over the whole Atlantic seaboard. You cannot basically rent property. He's had to go to like a far-off place called Bloberg.
Oh,
there are some realities. Hey, remember when Hi Rob was talking about how the digital nomads are ruining Lisbon?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that in Cape Town. Here, there's just nowhere to live, but it is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
Before you came on this morning, I was telling Simphiwe, I was talking to someone in the property business, and they were saying that for the same amount of space you'd get in Joburg, you have to pay 3 times the amount in Cape Town.
Yes, I know that, and it's a reality I have considering moving there. It's like, firstly, you can't move down with 3 cats. You know how rich you got to be in Cape Town to have an apartment with 3 cats.
That sounds sad though. Why do you have 3 cats?
That's having
cats are incredible.
Imagine having 3 kids. What it'll cost you, you know?
Oh, you don't. You just stay in Kempton Park.
No, you've gone off.
That's not a slight at Kempton Park. I'm saying that you need space for 3 kids. There's space there. There's not space in a Aranya, Zuck.
You've done it now, Ben. You've ruined the friendship. She's never going to talk to you again. Simphiwe is going to be sad.
Try be a 3 anything in Buckhoven. I double dare you.
It's not going to happen. Ben's right. All right. So Cape Townians got a taste of the 2021 riots. More to come, says Sharon. Sharon's so positive this morning. Sharon, always nice to hear those happy thoughts. Yeah, don't be like that. I mean, the worst thing you can do is be from another part of the country and then be mean to Cape Town just because we're a little bit jealous that they run better. I mean, we had the mayor on yesterday, and I would rather have him as our mayor than anybody else. But we don't. If you don't live in Cape Town, you don't have him. So you have to have shit mayors. So just get ready.
I tell you what, in closing, that Cape Town mayor is what you want out of a politician. Jeez. That guy's not stealing your girlfriend. He's not stealing your money. He's not. He's going to get stuff done. If you don't vote for someone like that in the next elections, you are a child, because that's what you want, right? That person will run stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And he'll do a good job of it too. You could see he was working on the public holiday. I eventually interviewed him at like 6 o'clock in the evening. He was still wearing his suit. He was out there getting his hands dirty, sorting out traffic and burning buses and God knows what else. So yeah,
man of purpose.
You want someone like that running things. I totally agree with you. Okay, it is Friday morning. It's 7 o'clock, 11 August already. Good morning.
Hi, I'm Barrett Edelstein. Join me for my podcast, Celeb Savant. Today, I'm with Sophie Ellis-Bextor.
So right at the moment, I'm at home in London, but after I speak to you, I'm going to pack my bags.
3 of the members of UB40, Earl, Matt, and Jimmy.
Well, we're in the middle of a tour at the moment.
A career retrospective with actors, singers, and entertainment industry experts every Friday morning at 9 o'clock on cliffcentral.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
This week on the Auto Trader podcast.
One thing I wanted to talk about. So on the road fees, which is another terminology which dealerships have been using for a while. There's been headlines recently of dealerships having to pay back the on the road fees. I'm not too sure if you have any insights into this. I read the article a little bit, but maybe you can explain exactly what on the road fees are.
Well, I mean, this is a point of hot debate, and it has been for a long time. There are costs involved in getting the car from being in stocked form to being on your name, license and registration, a roadworthy check, all that stuff done. There are costs involved to that process.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
Righty, it's Friday morning. There's lots of stuff to talk about today. We've got some news to get to. We've got a guest popping in a little bit later on with Perfect Picture with Canon, and that is Nomvelo Makhanya, who will talk to an actress and singer. We got George popping in as well with the usual Friday. No, there's no Auto Trader pod this morning because
what
Yeah,
a
I know,
tease. Hit me there.
I know, sorry about that, but we do have something else entirely to talk about. So we'll get to that in a short while. We've got a couple of things that have been bouncing around. Somebody said to me the other day, if you had to solve one big problem in your life and it could be solved by money, what is the single problem that money might be able to solve for you right now in your life? And I thought it was such a good question because people tend to fixate on this. We always think if we have more money, things will be easier. And look, let's be fair. A lot of the time that's true. But, they say more money, more problems. And it does turn out to be true that a lot of people who have money still have lots of problems.
Yes.
So they don't always go together. But what problem in your life could money really solve right now?
Would it be cliche to say more money? I think I'm such a happy person. My life is not problematic. The only thing I just need is unlimited amount of money. I don't want to worry about petrol. I don't want to worry about if this breaks, where do I get this money? I think that's, and maybe it's because of my age. I haven't lived life to a point where I'm super stressed about my health. It's just, can I get chalete, guys? Can I just get more money?
So this would be to deal with expenses and day-to-day living. You wouldn't suddenly extravagantly go out and buy hugely expensive things, but it would help you to just get through the day without worrying about cash. So yours is that. That's not a bad idea.
Because I think a lot of people's stresses is finances, right? It's and dealing with the day-to-day stuff that, I had a flat tire today. Where do I get this? I'm taking from the savings, but I haven't really paid back my savings. And then before you know it, it's been 3 years and now you just broke. And I think a lot of the times when you are stressed, that also affects your immune system, which I learned from Dr. Mark. And then when your immune system is compromised, that's how you get sick.
Yeah.
And then it's just this downhill of shikukukuku. Whereas I'm can I just have enough money to not worry about the daily expenses? And then I think life would be so much better, in my opinion. Can I first have money and then see?
So there's no wrong answer, Simphiwe. I love Sharon's answer in the comments. I think this is beautiful. Sharon says, I would like to be rich enough to start being able to be more charitable. So she's not saying she's not charitable at the moment. In other words, she helps a lot of people, but she wishes she had more money to help more people, which is probably the greatest answer you're going to get today. But let's see what Ben has to say.
Well, I just want more time. I waste so much time trying to make money. If I had the money, then I'd have the time. So I mean, it's a simple equation for me. I don't want a ridiculously fast car or a helicopter and that kind of shit. I don't need that at all. I would love to spend more time doing exactly what I want to do, and that's what all of our jobs / careers, endeavors, whatever it may be, takes us away from.
What would you do with all that time?
I'll just keep working on the human optimization and trying to help people around that. It literally is the thing that fascinates me the most. It makes me happy. All of those things. It really is. And if I had money, then I would just crack on full time with that.
I'm not going to argue with that, because I think also the pursuit of more time is always a valuable one, especially if you have a plan to use that time. But it's just like health. When you are healthy, you don't think about being unhealthy, and you don't even think about being healthy. When you're healthy, you're just like, okay, let me get up and do the things. When you're sick, all you can think about is getting better. It's the same with time, I think. I mean, right now, I find myself with fair amount of time. I've certainly got more time than I've had at various other stages of my life. So I could take on another project. I could get involved in something quite big right now, and it wouldn't necessarily infringe on any of the things I'm already doing, which I think is great. But only when I think about that do I appreciate the fact that I have a bit of time. If I were just going about my business every day, I probably wouldn't think about it at all. And then I'd complain in a year's time. I'd look back and go, oh, I had so much time then.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's the same. It's the same with time. It's the same with health. It's the same with money. When you have it, you're not really appreciative of it. And then later on you go, wow, I actually had a lot of time on my hands. Or man, I felt good last month, and I didn't necessarily use it properly. Time, money, or health. It's a weird thing that happens with people.
I think, I mean, obviously we just so programmed for that sort of mindset.
Sure.
Yeah, it's always
Like,
the next
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But it's a scricarcity mindset. The thing that you have the least of is the thing you want more of, because you're obsessed with running out of it. And you don't take stock of the things that you do have. You know, they always say that the antidote to being a miserable and bitter and angry person is to be grateful. And I think that's a very real thing. Like, if you're grateful for the stuff that, if you can take stock right now and go, okay, well, I'm feeling healthy today. I feel like I'm not sick. I'm not sore, any of that stuff. Already you are in a better space than most people. If you can then think, well, like Simphiwe says, I can afford to pay my petrol, or I can go to a movie night like Simphiwe is tonight with her friends. Awesome. How lucky am I? If you have a bit of time on your hands to be able to do those sorts of things, even better. And I just think, like, gratitude, it sounds like such an Oprah thing, what we're talking about now, but it's a big bloody deal. The moment you're grateful about stuff, everything around you seems to improve in leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I cannot agree more with you on that. It's such an easy thing to do as well. Like, people are so upset about what they don't have, they forget that they can still be grateful about something. Like,
Right.
I'm always grateful that I can wake up on a Friday, I can come here. I'm not just saying it because I'm in the show right now, but just to give a very direct example, because when I come here, I get to see your lovely faces and enjoy a conversation for 40 minutes, which is going to be interesting and funny. Not because we're funny people, essentially, or we're trying to be funny, but it's a great environment for us just to have a great shoot the shit kind of moment while still being informative. And then from here, Friday's great at the office. People are a little bit happier, and you just get to kind of add these moods, and it's like a big domino effect. It's awesome.
Well, some people are much simpler, though. I mean, Obi says, I would like a bigger handbag. That's all.
Oh, okay. All right.
So if money's, here we are being all philosophical. Simphiwe is like, I'd like it to just make life easier, pay for stuff. Ben is like, I'd like more time. This is not the case for Obi. Obi just wants a bigger handbag. That's really all.
Yeah. Does that mean that Obi's a shoplifter? Because,
Hi, Bo.
I mean, have you seen Obi's profile name? Obi Sedgefield, gem of our garden route.
I know.
That's not just anonymous, it's cryptic. What goes in these big handbags, Obi? Is there something in Sedgefield where this is how you fight? I mean, do you put a bowling ball in there?
No questions here, no lies.
I'm intrigued.
Just like you don't ask a lady her age, you don't ask a lady what's in their handbag.
Yeah, but Simphiwe, people want nicer handbags, right? They don't want bigger handbags. Bigger suggests there's violence potentially in the mix here.
All right. This is a good one, because this links to what we're saying. Would you choose to be fluent in any language or be able to communicate with animals? If you suddenly could learn, I've got a friend who he does a new thing. He's now in his 70s, but he does a new thing every year. So he'll learn a language, play an instrument, read a book he's always wanted to read. I love that. So I've always liked the idea of improving yourself in some way every year. He took up
Sounds like somebody with time.
Well, I mean, he's been tremendously successful in business, and he's happily married, and his kids are all grown up. So yeah, he has more time. But But that's a good thing to do, right? Especially as you get older. And for people who are in the situation he's in, you can very quickly go backwards if you don't have goals.
Absolutely.
So at any age, I wouldn't say necessarily an age thing. Maybe it's just a time thing. You must never ever run out of things to do and have things that you want to tick off on the list. But that's a good question. Would you choose to be fluent in any language or actually be able to communicate with animals?
Well, knowing me and the fact that I am not a fan of animals, I would
Mm.
easily go to be fluent in any language because I interact with humans. And the one thing, I'm Zulu, and there's this joke that Zulu people don't learn other people's languages. They always just
it's
like
quite a lot like
speak.
English people.
They speak isiZulu with you, and then somehow people feel like they need to conform, and then before you know it, they're talking broken isiZulu with you. So I'd
That's
like
true.
to break that stereotype and be like, you know what? I will meet you halfway and speak, your language and be fluent in that when I communicate with you.
Well, also, it would be nice to understand other languages, not only because then you could travel around the world without ever having to worry about a communication problem. You will always be well understood, and you will always understand other people. So you can also hear when they're talking shit about you. I think that could be quite useful. Being able to communicate with animals, very like Diane Fossey, David Attenborough. I mean, you mean for your pets, Ben, so that you could understand your pets?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be way more interesting because like I get my fill of people very quickly. I mean, it'd be great to have a different language, be like the Matrix and go, I'm going to go to Paris tomorrow and I'm going to do proper things. Amazing. Great. But I find animals are way more interesting because I'd always pick the animal communication. Simphiwe's face is screwing up like I've just opened my lunchbox here. She is not seeing this one.
What do you mean? What is that? I'm trying to understand.
Hold
you know
on.
what? Let me not judge you. Let me
Let me not judge you, which I've been doing for the last 20 seconds.
But all animals, because there's some animals you wouldn't want to communicate with like a crocodile or any of that shit, would you?
Absolutely. It would be very interesting.
Who are you?
I think it would be so interesting to be able. No, but guys, I mean, it's not about like going, hey, how's it going? Who are you backing this weekend? With animals, it's all very slight, right? It's like body language, that kind of stuff. Communicating with animals isn't just about making noises and you make the same squeak. It's a much bigger thing than that. Animals are way different to us. I've spoken to lots of people. Animals will have a different everything to communicate with them.
I think you're thinking about your cats, and they would probably be interesting because you'd finally get into their heads and know what they really think, which would be interesting. Probably hugely revealing.
That would be funny, but I mean, if you could be somewhere in the wild and it's just you and a pride of lions, like that would be so interesting. Because you would really realize how simple and savage and direct they are. There would be no PC, nothing. There'd be no wokeness. I reckon every animal would just be what you would hope to be.
Ben says, Ben, what are you smoking? I think you can tell by observing animals what they're thinking, and mostly it's eat, have sex, sleep. And I don't
kind of people. I want to talk about that.
The truth comes out.
That's what I want to talk about. I'm so done with all this contrived bullshit we do as people. Guys, it's called the Animal Kingdom, and they have a different world. Our world, I can sum up in a few minutes. Yeah, animals different. It's a different portal to whole different beings.
I hear you, Ben, but no.
It's not like you're going to meet an ostrich and it's going to give you like amazing philosophical revelations into the soul.
I don't want philosophical revelations. I just want to know what ostrich life's like.
It's probably really shitty, Ben. I mean,
guys, if I didn't have a good handle on human life, I obviously wouldn't want to be there. But I think I've got a good one, so I want both.
Okay, so you would expand into a whole different layer of understanding, new species, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't then become a vet because that's just, it's like being in trauma ward or like abuse centers.
Yeah. Oh no,
animals go there. No, I want like just open.
And what if it made you really sad? Like, what if you found out that animals are actually all terrific?
Animals are all depressed. Well, then I made the wrong choice. Well, then I'll live with my consequences, right?
Oh, they're just like
man of principle.
you can never unsee it. Like from then on, every time you see an animal, you'd be like, oh, you poor thing.
Yeah, again with the moaning about the ozone layer. Oh, so annoying. I feel worse than Al Gore.
I mean, it could be really exciting because the animals could tell you stuff about the humans. Like if you could communicate with them, and let's say a bird flew past my house or Simphiwe's house, said, Jesus, you got to see what's going on at Simphiwe's bedroom this morning.
Yeah.
You could find out some really cool things. You know, like
I think birds would be the most interesting because they actually travel the world. They see different things. They're always moving. So maybe they might have nice stories to tell.
Or they'll be like Gary Player, who also traveled the world. Have you seen my wings? Have you seen my wings? Best wings. Watch. Flap all day.
Listen, I mean, that you know, they've made these movies about people who have superpowers that they can communicate with the animals. If you could get like a whole flock of crows to like descend on someone you didn't like and start pecking their eyeballs out.
Amazing.
Power, right?
Imagine how great it would be, like, say, at a super presidential inauguration, whatever, and you see 100 pigeons and you go, see that guy over there? That's the guy you cuck on. That would be special. And then all you people trying to talk French to people you don't even fucking care about, you look at me and go, yep, he made the right choice. He did it.
It would make you kind of cool. I mean, also you could suddenly have all the animals come to you rather than you try to find them in the wild.
Oh, no. Wait. What makes you think they would listen to you?
I'm a likable person, Simphiwe.
You might be able to communicate with them, but they still have their own minds. So they might be like, who the hell are you?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not doing that thing.
I don't think I'm some sort of deity all of a sudden. I'm still just some guy in the mix here. They must choose to like me or not.
To the untrained eye, you would look like a deity. Carl says, within 6 months, Ben would have 12 chimpanzee disciples following him who are buff and drink protein shakes in their ice baths.
Wow, Carl, you really stressed the mind to find that analogy, didn't you? There was a great movie with Mel Gibson about what women want. I think that's actually what the title was. And it was so difficult because you can't turn it off. So everywhere you go, you're hearing this stuff. Like, I don't want to be telepathic. I just want to be able to communicate. Because if you were to just hear everyone's issues the whole time, that would also suck.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that is a good one. And I mean, even if they're unintelligent, if you could say to crows, for example, hey, listen, I want you to go to a couple of jewelry stores and bring me as much shiny stuff as you can, and I will give you breadcrumbs. You know?
Yeah, but then
criminal behavior could be very, very easy because the animals would do the dirty work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you've read it, Gareth. Well done. It took 2 minutes. Now you've corrupted the animal world. You're going to get them on crack. Carl wants them taking, exceptional doses of protein.
Suddenly we've ruined the animals. It doesn't take long for a South African to find the way to criminality, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Courtney wants us to please steer this into a positive light. So I don't know how Courtney found our show because we are like...
Wait, hang on a second.
New, né?
Hang on a second. Got to dial it back a bit here. Courtney's been vocal. She's also been pestered in the comments here. I've had a little cursory scroll. Courtney does have a man.
Oh.
And what she was saying is she's independent as a person. She wasn't inferring that she doesn't have a person in her life.
Oh.
We all jumped to that conclusion. Everyone reel it back a bit.
Well, we're
Courtney's happy. Courtney's got someone.
Okay.
Courtney, if you want to know, for a profession, I create content. I work in marketing. It's quite broad. I have a business that involves sports and athletes and sponsorships. If that deals with the question, yeah, there we go. So Courtney's up to speed, and we're up to speed on Courtney.
Okay, nice to meet you, Courtney. Maybe this is the first time we're interacting. You know.
Thank you, Ben, for going back and sorting out and ticking these boxes that needed ticking. We can't just let people run amok in the comments, right? We can't.
Absolutely. I'm still not entirely sure what crime Obi's into because now.
Yeah,
I mean, now Obi's talking about 6 pink flamingos on the SWAT flare.
They don't often visit. I think Obi's definitely on drugs first thing on a Friday morning.
Obi's a shoplifter, guys. Obi's a shoplifter, and no, we know.
You talk about animals. This is a great story out of Texas. A Texas woman was attacked by a hawk and a snake at the same time.
What?
talking
What
about
did she
unlucky.
do?
All right. Exactly. So the bird, which eats snakes, accidentally dropped the wriggling serpent on her from on high. Now, talk about unlucky. So she's just walking. Maybe she's doing her shopping, hanging the washing up. Who knows what she's doing? But the snake falls on her from the sky, which, first of all, the chances of that happening are so small that if we lived in ancient times, we didn't have any of the knowledge that we have now, you would think, oh my God, I'm about to be cursed by some deity, right? Some god in the sky hates me so much. To drop a snake from the sky on me must be a very bad omen. But then she's 64 years old, this woman, Peggy Jones. Okay, she's mowing a lawn. That's what she was doing. Snake dropped on her. Then the hawk swooped down to angrily reclaim the meal. The snake wrapped itself around her arm and began striking her face as the bird sunk its talons deep into her flesh. The terrifying ordeal left her with cuts and bruises to her arm and face. This poor woman.
Okay, Ben, I see where you're coming from. I want to be able to communicate with
that
animals
wouldn't have
now.
been me, right? Could have solved the situation straight away.
They need to understand Futek now.
Meanwhile, yeah.
Like that's it. That's all. Understand that, and we could. Sure.
Horrible. So, Ben, how do you think communicating with animals might help you in that situation? Because you know what the animals are after. They just want to eat each other.
See, the thing is, now you're in conflict, right? And a fight's a fight. I don't care who you are. That snake is trying to defend itself. And also, like an elderly woman, but if she's mowing the lawn, I mean, this is a sight. You cannot make this up. Can you imagine if you were just like watching from like if you're on the walking past and this all happening? You got the mowing, like the noise of the mower, the shrieks of this woman, a bird of prey in any sight is quite something. And then you've got a serpent on the strike.
That's just the worst. Like,
I really hope there was like two dogs fucking behind this just to kind of like finish off the mix here, because that really would have been.
Oh my God. Okay, listen. So, I mean, somebody says here in the comments, 1,000 ways to die. If she could, what a great story. But no one's going to believe her when she goes and tells people this is what happened.
Zero.
Right?
Absolutely zero. Wow.
That's so great. That is just unbelievable. All right. If Mark Zuckerberg does fight with Elon Musk, people are still talking about this. He says he's ready today if anybody challenges him to a fight. He says though he suggested August the 26th as the date for their cage match, Musk hasn't confirmed. That would be my birthday. I wouldn't mind getting that for a birthday present, seeing two really rich, not particularly unsuccessful people fight each other. That would be a nice thing to see. Not holding my breath, said Zuckerberg in a Sunday post on Threads that included a screenshot of Musk's post on Twitter about lifting weights to prepare. A post by Musk late on Sunday night said he might need surgery and will have a neck and upper back MRI to check that before choosing the fight date. So he's already maybe making excuses to get out of this. A lot of people are backing Zuckerberg on this one.
Yeah, I mean, he's already fit. Like he's already in the, you know what I mean? So that's why he's like, I'm ready to go now. Unlike Elon, where he still needs to kind of prep himself, get into the training mode and whatnot. He's stalling right now.
As our MMA specialist, who would you back here?
Well, obviously Zuckerberg. I said from the start, it's not like he works hard. That guy doesn't innovate. He just steals other people's platforms, calls them something else. Elon's building stuff. He's actually got a day job. But apart from that, Zuckerberg is that geek who suddenly just finds that thing, right? Like, you know, he's got that hexagon on his grass that's like pissing his wife off.
Yeah.
No, like, it's an absolute non-event, and great if they could fight, because that'll be like the old days, you know, like one goes up to the other guy's castle and go, I see you've taken my crops again. I'm going to kill you. And that's the thing. It should be a fight over Threads and Twitter and X. That's what it should be. I would love it to be the thing that like Elon gets the first sort of kind of salvo, right? You could tell this guy what a piece of shit he is because he stole this and this is the thing. It almost should be like a court, but the court has a ring in it. So they have their opening arguments, and then from there it's like, well, now we're going to see who is the best.
So we need a bit of need a bit of what you would normally have in these fights. Is you have to have some shit talking. They have to like say terrible things about each other, but it all has to be true.
But I think it should be industry specific, not like other fighting. It should be very about like, share prices and all this kind of stuff. Then it'll be interesting.
Okay.
It should literally be about like antitrust and plagiarism and
but it needs to
burying
be...
documents. That's what it should be, and then fisticuffs. But I want to see a bit of both. Not this whole like, because Elon's obviously just taking the piss, right? Like the other day, he says he's been lifting weights. He took them to work, and that's where they sit.
Yeah, and
it's
I
like
also
dad jokes versus geek athleticism.
But that is the point, right? These two are both geeks and they are both nerds, so it's still going to be two nerds fighting each other.
Yeah, but Zuckerberg's like, you can see, that meme where that guy is in class and his face looks like he's about to burst, and it's always about like, it's been an hour, you haven't told someone you're a vegan. That's what Zuckerberg's entire life is, that meme. He is that guy because he just wants to so desperately do something that people love. And it is now this whole MMA thing.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm saying, we need more billionaires to do this kind of stuff. I've not been so excited about a fight before. Entertain us. You have all the money in the world. You can do like all the craziest things. You guys could have like a series of the next billionaire, who's going to fight who's going to do what. Right. I'm here for it. Make this a thing. It must start off with those two, and then let's get Jeff Bezos in the mix. Let's do something that's.
We should up the stakes. Whoever wins gets the other person's companies. Then it would be
stuff like that, because then people will train. There's nothing on this fight right now. That's why Elon's making dad jokes and he's just chubby. Yeah. But what if it really was? It's like, okay, I'll fight you. If you win, you can have X, and I'll have you. Just stop doing threads because it's stupid and you've copied me.
You see, now we're talking.
Suddenly there's $44 billion in a fight.
Yeah, and we are entertained.
That would be interesting.
I'm here for
all right, well, listen, I know you have to go, Ben, but enjoy the rest of your weekend and enjoy your day at the office today while people are in a good mood on a Friday. We will catch up with Ben again next week. Awesome. And don't forget to place your bets on some sport over the weekend, because that's how we've made it something. Even Simphiwe and I, who never really have watched an entire soccer match, that's how we get into it.
Can you believe I know who's playing this weekend? I got excited. I was like, football is back. Let's go. Can't believe that girl now.
Another thing you can do this weekend is watch The Perfect Picture, which is on Sundays on ETV at 5 p.m. We started this series, which we're going to do every day for the next couple of weeks, with 10 celebrities. All 10 of these celebrities have a passion for photography, and they compete against each other to show that they have what it takes to step away from the spotlight and move behind the camera. We have 2 superb Canon cameras in our studio, and we decided we'd need to find out how to use them properly by watching this show. So we'll learn along with our celebrities. We had the brilliant Lasizwe on last week, and this week we have another excellent guest. I'm very, very happy to have Nomvelo Makhanya on, who's an award-winning South African actress and a singer, best known for her roles in the TV series Isibaya, Soul City, and Scandal. Dun, 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 dun. Here she is, Nomvelo Makhanya.
I don't know about Isibaya, Gareth, but
that's what they told me. You weren't in Isibaya?
Definitely not. Maybe my cousin was, so maybe they thought I was my cousin. But
that's some really bad news for the producers, who are going to be shouted at after the show today. But it's nice to see you, and you're looking terrific, and you're looking very fresh for a Friday morning.
So yes, of course.
So tell us, how did you get involved in The Perfect Picture, and what's your knowledge level and your ability to use cameras now as opposed to what it was when you started this show?
Cool. So I had gotten approached, right, to join The Perfect Picture, and I thought it would be a really great way to get myself out of my comfort zone. So I figured, let's do this. I've got a bit of knowledge when it comes to videography. So let's see what we can learn when it comes to taking pictures. So I joined it, and honestly now, the show is done, but now I can truly just say that I'm a fully fledged photographer. There's so much that I've learned. There's so much that I know. I have a newfound respect as well for people that use the camera.
Because you were used to being on the front end of the camera, and you're used to being the actual actress and content creator yourself. So, I mean, let's just talk quickly about your career so far. Tell us a little bit about that. A lot of people in South Africa want to be on TV. They want to do acting. They want to be asked to do movies. It's not all fun and games. It's a hard business, right?
True. Yeah, it's a very hard business because even with me getting into the industry, I got into the industry to prove a point, right? But I guess I found my passion as well while I was proving my point. But there's a lot of work that goes on into just, being in front of the camera. There's so much work that we put in, especially as actors. You literally pour your heart out into that scene or into that film that you're shooting or that soapy that you're doing, and it's a lot of work. And I think that's the one thing people don't understand. People really think you can just wake up and want to act. No, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work.
I mean, doing a soap opera is really backbreaking work, because sometimes you're spending hours and hours on the set doing nothing, just waiting for your scene to come up.
Yep, hurry up.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, a lot of people think that, working hard as in physical labor is difficult, and of course it is. But it can be so frustrating to sit around and wait.
That's just sitting and waiting, doing nothing is so draining, because you've signed a 12-hour contract. You have to be at work for 12 hours. So when they say to you, hey, you need to be at work at 6:00, you have to be at work at 6:00 until the scenes are done. And sometimes it's really that waiting, and that waiting can get draining. But there's nothing that you can do about it.
And things like learning lines is not as easy as people think. I couldn't do that. I've tried.
Let's cram. You don't cram lines. You don't cram lines, guys. You learn your lines, and there's so much effort, man, that gets put into learning lines. There's so many things, and when you understand it, if you've been to a drama school, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
All right, so let's get back to cameras for a second, because the show is on its 4th episode, is airing this coming Sunday on ETV. So what can we expect from your performance in the show? Because I know it's sort of like MasterChef meets Survivor meets a show which is really educational. So what kinds of things do you guys have to do? Lasizwe told us some of it the other day, but you tell us all of that from your point of view. You get a subject, you get a thing a complicated task you have to perform. How does it work?
Gareth and Simphiwe, if there's one thing I can tell you, that show had me on my toes every single day. I hated it. It's just like my anxiety. Every single day, my anxiety was just peaking, because the challenges with, so every week we'd get given 2 different challenges. And then obviously every week the challenge gets upped and upped and upped and upped. And with the 4th episode coming out this Saturday, I think that was one of my worst ones. Well, kind of my worst ones, because I know this Sunday we have it's the race. The first challenge was the racetrack, which was really fun. And then the second part of it is we were on planes.
Sure.
That we were on a plane, and we had to take pictures of other planes while the plane is upside down, and it was just no. Why do we have to do that?
I'm gonna pull a labang and be like, give us some of the tea of some of the drama that happened, because you're telling us about planes now and being upside down. Like, what else was also happening behind the scenes that we might not necessarily get to see?
I just realized the perfect picture should have had cameras behind the scenes and showed y'all. I don't think it's my place, but it was a lot of fun. I don't want to lie. I think we were a really great team, like overall, in as much as there was a little bit of drama behind the scenes, people show up late for work, people, being divas, but it's all part of the game. It's really all just part of the game. But overall, we were really an exceptional group, and we got along, and we were extremely competitive.
Just on the photography, last night, for example, I went to dinner with these two friends of mine, and we take a picture every time because it's like a thing that we do every couple of months. And the guy at the restaurant, the waiter, he took 10 terrible pictures, 10. And people think that because they've got a phone, they can do things. It's a lot harder than that. And lighting is massively important. How you compose the picture is very important. Forget about the quality of the camera. For most people, that doesn't even come into it, right?
Yeah.
It's just, it is way harder than people think to take a decent picture.
It's a lot of work. Like, I realized that because I don't even take pictures with my phone anymore. I don't enjoy that. Like,
Really?
Just give me my camera. Let's take a picture. I take my camera everywhere. I've got this newfound love for photography. I'll find a bird just flying around here and I want to take pictures, and I'm just like, I really enjoy that. But there's a lot of work that goes into photography, like you say, Gareth. A lot of composition. Your setting matters, your ISO. There's a whole lot of things that we also learned in our masterclass. I mean, some of the things I don't remember now, but because I'm a practical person, but I know exactly what it is that I need to do to get my perfect shots. But it's a lot of work. I was also at a restaurant, I think a month ago, asked the waiter to take a picture, and it was really horrible.
Oh, you need to. This is why people pay, for example, for weddings or big occasions in their lives. They pay for the professionals to come and do it, because if you get someone who's amateur doing it, it's just going to be horrible. You're going to look at those pictures afterwards, and you'll be like, I know it looked better than this. This is disappointing.
100%, and that's what I meant when I said earlier on that I truly have a newfound respect for photographers. There is so much work that goes into that. I remember one of the challenges we had right on the show, where it was what was the challenge? I forgot the term for it, but we had to go look for a setting without any subject, without knowing exactly what it is that we're shooting. This was over the weekend in your spare time. You have to go look for a setting. This is what we're going to be doing. So go and find something. You're going to use that time in studio to be running around and taking your photos. And that was a lot of work. And yes, went around looking for different spots and whatever. And as soon as we got on set, we're told, okay, you've got a limited time and you need to shoot this. And you go and you shoot, but still you don't have a subject. You're shooting without a subject, and you're only going to drop your subject in post. And I was just like,
wow, holy shit. How does that even work?
Yeah, how does that even work? But learning that was so amazing because some of the results were truly amazing. Like, I was even shook at some of my other celebrities that we had. I was like, oh, did you guys get lessons? That was really amazing. But it's a lot of work.
So you guys...
Sorry, Simphiwe. Someone in the comments, Obi here says, show us what the camera looks like. So I found a picture of it, and this is the camera you're using. This is the one that you use, right?
100%.
That's the EOS R8 is what it's called.
Yes, it's the R8. Beautiful camera. Beautiful baby.
Nice stuff. All right, so there we go, Obi, just in case you wanted to know. All right, so back to you. Simphiwe, you were going to ask something, and I interrupted you.
Oh, yes. So you mentioned that you guys learn photography, but now hearing this, it also seems like you guys learn how to edit photos. Is that also like a challenge in itself? Because you used to think this was taken like this, only to find out, gashle, this was all edited.
Damn right.
I mean, in terms of the editing, I mean, it wasn't much. I think like we're all used to, editing your photos. So it's just like fixing it here and there. But like with having to drop a subject into that took a twist. And I was like, okay, this is definitely hard. But
and were you guys using Photoshop for the editing?
Yeah, it was kind of Photoshop. I think it was Photoshop that we used. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a whole other skill set. Simphiwe, you know about this too, because it's fine to be able to take a really great picture, but the brilliant photographers are the ones who also do their own post-production editing, and, they'll filter things on the computer, they'll cut things out, they'll change a background, they'll blur something that shouldn't be there or replace it completely. I mean, often in a picture, you can't get everything 100% right in the live picture, because sometimes there's something happens in the background, or there's a there's a bit of a blur somewhere or something doesn't work properly, you can always fix that in post-production. And it's a whole separate set of skills to be able to do those edits.
100%. And lucky for us, we had Andrew to help us. So it wasn't a lot of work for us. Yeah.
All right. So how do you think being in this show has changed the way that you work with people in the industry, the way that you do things yourself? What has it changed in your life?
I just think I've gotten out of my comfort zone more, which is really great. But in terms of working with other people, I think I've genuinely been able to work with people really well. So it hasn't changed much, but I've just been able to get out of my comfort zone and putting my mind to something and saying, okay, let's go, let's do it. And I actually go through with that and I do it. And I won this past weekend's challenges. First time ever on The Perfect Picture. So,
very nice. Very nice. So we're speaking to a winner this morning. It's not like we're just speaking to another person on the show. All right. You can't give us any hints as to what happens from here on in. So we're not going to even ask you, but it's a great thing and everybody should be watching it. Make sure you watch The Perfect Picture Sunday on ETV at 5 p.m. I didn't even know about this show until a couple of weeks ago, and now I am watching it. What else? On a Sunday, it's the perfect thing to end your weekend.
Yes, most definitely. And if you've missed it on Sunday, catch it every Saturdays on ETV at 5:30.
Fantastic. All right. So, thank you so much, Nomvelo. Nice to see you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Have a lovely day.
Awesome.
You
Very
too,
good.
babe.
That's Nomvelo Makhanya. Isn't she great? Did
Yes.
I just hear the sound of a camera going?
I think so. Maybe she was in her elements, taking some, she's going to show it off on Instagram later on. I don't know. But what I am going to say is I'm a bit jealous with the people that got chosen for The Perfect Picture. I'm just like, you guys got to learn and got to, play around with these great cameras. And I'm just like, I wish that was me.
You would have been a great contestant on the show. We found out just the other day that Simphiwe is also a qualified drone pilot. We didn't know this. So
so hint, nudge, nudge. Can the next season just put me in, coach? Put me in.
The show is The Perfect Picture, and you can see a whole lot of other cool people, not just Nomvelo and Lasizwe, who we've already spoken to, but you can find all the other contestants too. Some people there that you will know, and some of them that we will still speak to. It's all brought to you by Canon. It is Friday, and normally around this time we would speak to our own George Meany, but today we've got somebody on the line who I haven't met before. Apparently he's doing a show at the Theatre on the Square in Sandton until the 19th of August. His name is Roy Horowitz. He's currently starring in Do I Win or Do I Lose? That's his show. He's a playwright from Israel. He's a performer known for his ability to craft compelling narratives, and he has received critical acclaim both in Israel and on the international stage. So we're going to find out what he's up to, and he's on the line right now. Hey, Roy, what's happening?
Hi, Gareth. Good morning.
Good morning.
You threw me
Roy,
out of bed very early, but I forgive you.
Roy, we can hardly see you. Is your camera really dirty or is it just blurry?
It's blurry. It's an old laptop which I brought with me, and I apologize. Yeah, I know.
All right, I like it. So tell us about this show of yours that you're doing. Tell us what you got planned.
It is a very moving and funny story based on a true story of a guy I met a couple of years ago in Edinburgh. I don't want to do any spoilers, but it's a story about living every moment to the fullest, a family drama, which manages to inject a lot of humor into the heavy subject matter of pancreatic cancer and death eventually.
Oh, wow.
But it's a very, very, very funny and life affirming at the end. And up to now, the feedback here is really heartwarming.
That's excellent. But I mean, the name "Do I Win or Do I Lose?" So I'm presuming there's something to do with gambling in this story.
Exactly. The main hero is an addict gambler, and he gambles against his doctors. They give him once they diagnose him, they give him 1 month, and he says, "You'll see that I'll survive for not 1 month but 2 months," and he manages. And then they give him another 3 months, and he makes it 6 months, and so on and so forth. And yeah, I don't want to do any spoilers, but at the end there is a very surprising momentum. Yeah.
I love this. Okay, so you said it's been received well so far. So I always have to ask authors and playwrights, when you come up with a story like this, is there a real life story that you took this from? Is there real life experience that this comes from?
In this case, yes. It's actually pretty much documentary. Yeah, I just met this guy who told me this story, a true story of his grandfather, and I thought this is a story that should be told. And yeah, it is based on the actual facts. Yeah, totally.
That sounds amazing. You said that there are a few other people involved, so it's a bit of a family story. So I mean, they're going to be some. It's a play, though, right? So they're going to be a whole lot of people.
It's a one-man play, so I'm lucky to portray some 15 different characters here.
One person doing 15 characters.
Exactly. It's a roller coaster of 65 minutes, and I'm doing all the characters. Yeah.
Holy shit! Is there a lot of pressure? Is there a lot of pressure on you to remember all those lines? We were just talking to an actress just 5 seconds ago, and it's hard to learn these lines. Do you? Because you're the author, can you get away with changing it slightly as you go?
You know what? I think the main challenge here is for me to perform it in English, because it's a second language for me. When I do it in Hebrew in Israel, it's much easier for me to improvise. Here, I'm very much on guard, and I stick to the to the script. Because it's quite a challenge. English, I keep telling, after each show we have a Q&A, and I keep telling the people that English is so demanding and challenging with all the L's and R's, but Hebrew is so much easier, guys. What's wrong with you?
All right. Well, I mean, listen, if you're going to be doing this in your second language, then I think people who are going to watch it will enjoy it tremendously, because it's nice to see someone kind of getting out of their comfort zone and doing something in a whole different language. So why South Africa? I mean, were you invited here? Did you always want to come here? What's the reason that you brought this to South Africa? Why are we so lucky?
Actually, South Africa, strangely enough, became my second home in recent years. I've been here already 5 times.
Wow.
I met Daphne Kuhn, the director of the Theater on the Square, a couple of years ago in Israel. I wear many hats, and one of them is I'm also the artistic director of what we call in Israel International Exposure of Israeli Theater, which is an event that takes place every year and brings theater people from all over the world to show them the local theatrical scene in Israel. And she came and we clicked, and I've already been here with previous productions, My First Sony and The Timekeepers and Volunteer Men. And afterwards I was invited to the Grahamstown Festival and the Hilton Festival. So actually I've been here quite a lot in recent years, and apart from Israel, I think this is my second home now. So
beautiful. I love that.
It a lot here. You have a great audience here, and food is great, and nature is great, and the weather is great, unlike in Tel Aviv these days. So it's great.
Listen, I want you to repeat all of that, because South Africans need to start understanding how, this is actually a really cool place, and people from all over the world also want to come here. Some people in South Africa think that we are the only country in the world that no one cares about and that no one wants to come to, and that's clearly nonsense. So I'm glad to hear this from you.
Exactly.
All right. Well, listen, I think it's absolutely brilliant that you're here. Do I win or do I lose? It is all on at the Theatre on the Square until the 19th of August. You can book your tickets at CompuTicket or directly with the Theatre on the Square box office, online at theatreonthesquare.co.za. Roy, it's very nice to have you on. We'll talk to you soon. And good luck with the show.
So much. And do come. I await you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Roy Horowitz. There we go. Nice. Okay, Simphiwe, you're getting ready for your Friday.
Yes, I am. Come do it. Yes.
All right, I love it. And if you're doing anything fun this weekend, then talk to us about it on Monday. We will be back at 6 a.m., bright and early Monday morning. I see a lot of people in the comments going, where is George? George is not here this week, but he will be back next week. So we'll find out what he's been up to. In the meantime, have a good weekend, everybody. And we will see you on the flip side.